Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So this is our fourth annual HIAS Refugee Shabbat, and our Tikkun Olam committee is always behind it, and our Tikkun Olam chair is Avery Kohlers. So we will hear from him and some other members tonight. And I want to give a special welcome to our guest speaker tonight, Allison Bell from the International Rescue Committee, and we'll hear from her later in the services, and also welcome to her husband, John, who is with us. And we have over here not only Aviv, who is so often with us and adds greatly to our service, but Fran Weinstock, the lead singer of Lost Tribes. So welcome back, Fran. We always appreciate it when we have you here to lead services with us. And also we have Travis Duval. Travis Horde was from Wheeling, sorry, slip of the tongue. So Travis is with us as a streamer. So Shabbat Shalom to everybody who's here in the sanctuary and to those who are watching online. I want to begin, because this is our Refugee Shabbat, I want to just say a few words about HIAS, which is an organization which stands for the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. It was established all the way back in 1881, and it was created to assist Jews who were fleeing pogroms in Russia and Eastern Europe. From its beginnings in a storefront on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, a group of American Jews organized to provide much-needed comfort and aid to thousands of Jews who were fleeing waves of anti-Semitic riots in Europe. While those who arrived were refugees, people who were being killed in their homelands just because of who they were, the world did not yet have a legal concept for people who needed safe havens outside of their homelands. So from these beginnings in New York City, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society was born. They provided meals, transportation, jobs, and other needed guidance to those who arrived in Manhattan. Today, HIAS is still around, and it literally goes around the world helping to protect refugees regardless of religion. It's not just a Jewish organization, although it was founded for that purpose. They don't just help Jews, is what I want to say. Yes, it's a Jewish organization, but they help those who are of all people that have had to flee their homeland because of ethnic or religious or reasons, or all kinds of reasons that you are well aware of. So for more than 130 years, HIAS has been helping refugees rebuild their lives in safety and dignity. And we also have organizations here in town, one of which Allison is with, and she'll tell us about her organization, which is relatively new to Louisville, but not a new organization, but new to us. So we have the opportunity here to hear from her later. So to begin, I hope everybody has 3 handouts. The first one that we will begin with is called Welcome, Welcome, Emigrante.
Yeah, this is a Buffy St. Marie song, and those of you who are alive during the Great Folk Scare would know who she is. The rest of you, look it up.
Welcome, welcome, emigrante, to our country. Welcome home, welcome, welcome, emigrante, to the country that I love. I am proud, I am proud, I am proud of our forefathers, and I sing. They built this country, and they came from far away to a land they didn't know, the same way you do, my friend. So welcome, welcome, emigrante, to our country. Welcome home, welcome, welcome, emigrante, to the country that I love. I am proud, I am proud, I am proud of our foremothers, and I sing about their courage. For they spoke a foreign language and they labored with their hands the same way you do, my friend. So welcome, welcome, emigrante, to our country. Welcome home, welcome, welcome, emigrante, to the country that I love. I am proud, I am proud, I am proud of our forefathers, and I sing of their patience. For the work they did was lowly, and they dirtied up their clothes, and they spoke a foreign language, and they labored with their hands, and they came from far away to a land they didn't know, the same way you do, my friend. So welcome, welcome, emigrante, to our country. Welcome home, welcome, welcome, emigrante, to the country that I love.
Thank you, Aviv and Fran. That was really not only pertinent, but it was really lovely, so thank you. We're going to continue now on page 3. I'm going to invite Noah to the bima to light the Shabbat candles. And the blessing can be found right next door on page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner, shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. So as we begin this service tonight, I'm going to ask everyone to take a moment, turn to someone next to you, in front of you, behind you, and just share. We'll just take maybe 2 minutes. Share someone that you know of, if you know of the names of a family member who came to this country. Share anything you might know if you know. Okay, we'll just take a couple minutes for that.
Both of my parents. Your dad? Well, my father came in 1930. My mother came, and my mother came in the 30s. She was either 36 or 39.
And they knew each other?
No.
They met
Met in Chicago. Yeah, Dad was 7 years older than Mom. And were your parents born in this country?
Both of them were, but my mom was born in 1906. My dad was born in 1907. My mom's family was not here, and they came in the 1600s, and my dad's family was, and they came probably in 1901 or something like that. From Romania.
I didn't realize that your parents were that.
Yeah.
My dad was born in 1912,
Okay.
and Mom was born in 1920. Although
Yeah.
she didn't allow us to put it on the gravestone.
Oh, no.
Well, she threatened Ronit and me that she would haunt us if we put her date of
That's
birth on the
pretty
heads.
funny.
It is
Pretty
funny,
funny.
but you know that's her.
Yeah, it is.
You know, she lied about her age. You know how she was 69 when I found out how old she really was, and I found out from her first cousin.
Oh, funny. Okay.
So I'm glad people have had a chance to share. And so many of our relatives who came here came to New York, and they saw the Statue of Liberty, which says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. So we welcome, in that spirit of welcome, we welcome everyone into this sanctuary. And let's join responsively in the middle of page 6. Page 6. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. And may this always be the case, not only here at Temple Shalom, but God willing, one day in every house of worship around the world. I invite everyone now to rise for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, which can be found on page 28.
Yai la 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 Yai la 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 Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We know that our world has a cycle where we have lightness and darkness, followed by lightness, followed by darkness. And if we think of different immigrants or refugees who are trying to make their way to a new country, traveling a path, a course that was unknown to them, often filled with danger and uncertainty. And if we think about the nighttime, how scary it could be to be in some unknown place or in the bottom of a ship or who knows where, trying to start a new life. Or perhaps the darkness gave them a chance to rest from people who were chasing them during the daylight. And for others, the daylight brings an opportunity to continue the voyage and could be seen as something positive. Or the daylight could have been a time of more fear because they were more visible. So as we think about that tonight, right, what it means to be living in the light and the darkness as a refugee, as an immigrant, as a person trying to get to a better place, to hopefully have a better life, I think the changing like this adds more meaning. So let's join together tonight in Hebrew with Ma'ariv, our Avim, our blessing for creation that we recite at night. Page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim uvitvuna mishane itim umachalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono borei yom v'layla Golel or mi panei choshech, vechoshech mi panei or, uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil bein yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. It's now my pleasure to invite Avery to the bima for some remarks.
Shabbat Shalom. I wanted to read a poem tonight by Mahmoud Darwish. He's considered the national poet of the Palestinian people. And it's well to remember tonight, as we celebrate or remark Refugee Shabbat, that in recent months, 2 million Palestinians, already refugees, have been made homeless again. This is called Think of Others. As you prepare your breakfast, think of others. Do not forget the pigeon's food. As you conduct your wars, think of others. Do not forget those who seek peace. As you pay your water bill, think of others, those who are nursed by clouds. As you return home to your home, think of others. Do not forget the people of the camps. As you sleep and count the stars, think of others, those who have nowhere to sleep. As you liberate yourself in metaphor, think of others, those who have lost the right to speak. As you think of others far away, think of yourself. Say, if only I were a candle in the dark. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Avery. So Avery, don't sit down because all of us are going to stand up for Shema Yisrael. Page 100 and, no, not 100. Shema Yisrael is on page 34, the watchword of our faith.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated, and before we join together in the chanting of V'ahavta in a moment on page 36, I want us to think about, we're all familiar with the saying, there are no atheists in a foxhole, right? During a time of war, a lot of danger, people that were not faithful, people that didn't believe in God or questioned God or were sure there was no God, sometimes find themselves praying, at least, praying to some being greater than they are to help them during their time of need. And I would think that that would be the case too with refugees who are making their trek, who are trying to not get caught, trying to stay alive. There are bandits and robbers and all kinds of dangers. And I can imagine many of them who perhaps didn't believe in God found themselves maybe not echoing the words that we just spoke, but in their own way reaching out to a power greater than themselves to help them and keep them safe as they made their journeys. We join together V'ahavta, page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
I now invite Nancy Rennick to the bima to share a reading with us.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to read selections from a poem called Home by Warsan Shire. She was born in Kenya to Somali parents and now is in London. So, home. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. You only run for the border when you see the whole city running as well. Your neighbors are running faster than you. Breath bloody in their throats. The boy you went to school with who kissed you dizzy behind the old tin factory is holding a gun bigger than his body. You only leave home when home won't let you stay. No one leaves home unless home chases you, fire under your feet, hot blood in your belly. It's not something you ever thought of doing until the blade burnt threats into your neck. And even then, you carry the anthem under your breath, only tearing up your passport in an airport toilet, sobbing as each mouthful of paper made it clear you wouldn't be going back. You have to understand that no one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. No one burns their palms under trains, beneath carriages. No one spends days and nights in the stomach of a truck feeding on newspaper unless the miles traveled means something more than journey. No one crawls under fences. No one wants to be beaten, pitied. No one chooses refugee camps or strip searches where your body's left aching, or prison because a prison is safer than a city of fire. And one prison guard in the night is better than a truckload of men who look like your father. No one could take it. No one could stomach it. No one's skin would be tough enough. I want to go home, and home is the mouth of a shark. Home is the barrel of a gun. And no one would leave home unless home chased you to the shore, unless home told you to quicken your legs, leave your clothes behind, crawl through the desert, wade through the oceans, drown, save, be hunger, beg, forget pride. Your survival is more important. No one leaves home unless home is a sweaty voice in your ear saying, leave, run away from me now. I don't know what I've become, but I know that anywhere is safer than here.
Let's just take a moment to take that powerful poem into our hearts. No one leaves home unless home is a shark. It's really powerful, Nancy. Thanks for sharing that with us. When we think about our own history, we think about our time spent in slavery, our time yearning to be free. As we think of those today and our ancestors from years ago, let us join together in the chanting of Mi Chamocha, page 40.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh vele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, boker yam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
Let's join together on the top of page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. We're going to continue now with Vishamru, page 44, which can be found in the middle of the page, celebrating and taking delight in Shabbat.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, od hi leolam, od hi leolam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
Thank you, Aviv, and I invite Lee Chotner now to offer a reading as well.
This poem is entitled We Refugees, and it's by Benjamin Safania, who, until his death a couple months ago, I believe, from a brain tumor, was a leading voice in Britain for the downtrodden, the homeless, and most importantly, the voiceless. I come from a musical place where they shoot me for my song, and my brother has been tortured by my brother in my land. I come from a beautiful place where they hate my shade of skin. They don't like the way I pray, and they ban free poetry. I come from a beautiful place where girls cannot go to school. There you were told what to believe, and even young boys must grow beards. I come from a great old forest, and I think it is now a field, and the people I once knew are not there now. We can all be refugees. Nobody is safe. All it takes is a mad leader or no rain to bring forth food. We can all be refugees. We can all be told to go. We can be hated by someone for being someone. I come from a beautiful place where the valley floods each year, and each year the hurricane tells us that we must keep moving on. I come from an ancient place. All my family were born there, and I would like to go there, but I really want to live. I come from a sunny, sandy place where tourists go to darken skin, and dealers like to sell guns there. I just can't tell you what's the price. I am told I have no country now. I am told I am a lie. I am told that modern history books may forget my name. We can all be refugees. Sometimes it only takes a day. Sometimes it only takes a handshake or a paper that is signed. We all came from refugees. Nobody simply just appeared. Nobody's here without a struggle. And why should we live in fear of the weather or the troubles? We all came here from somewhere.
Thank you, Lee. Those were powerful, powerful words. The readings were all so meaningful, and I feel like at this moment, I know my heart is feeling that a prayer for peace would feel really comforting at this time. So let us turn to page 60 for the singing of Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov ve'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We now call to mind our loved ones who are in need of prayers of healing, healing of body, mind, or spirit on this Shabbat. Tonight our prayers are with Lev Dickerman, Teresa Todd, Leela Wilson, Paul Tackett, Al Unger, Beth Haberman, Fran Skoll, Robin Unger, Alvin Casson, Glenn Fosnacht, John Gage, David Rosenberg, Jim Todd, Ellen Goldwyn, Anita Fleischman, Carlson Peters, Eddie Abraham, Marcia Bornstein. The hostages who have not yet been released, and all who are recovering from physical and emotional and psychological wars on both sides of the border because of the war that is ensuing between Hamas and Israel. And if you'd like to add the names of your loved ones, please do so we can keep them in our prayers tonight.
The Weir in China.
May God bring healing to them, but let us not forget our obligation to visit the sick, help the sick in the ways we can. So let us join together in the middle of page 253 with our Misha Berach prayer for healing.
Mi sheberach I avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue now silently with Tefillat Halev, the prayers of our heart. So tonight, instead of coming out of the silent prayer with Oseh Shalom, as we usually do, I invite you to take out your hand sheet, get together as we join together in this piece tonight.
Love is but a song we sing, fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, or make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, and you may not know why. Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Some may come and some may go, we will surely pass. When the one that left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. everyone. Come on, people, now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. Hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people, now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Again. Come on, people, now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Right now. Right now.
Thank you, Aviv and Fran. So at this time, I'm going to ask Avery, I invite Avery to the bima to introduce our guest speaker tonight.
Shabbat Shalom again. I'm so happy to have our speaker tonight. She is Dr. Allison Bell. She has a PhD in law and policy, has worked in refugee issues for well over a decade, moved here from Chicago where she worked for the Federation there, and is the Associate Director of the International Rescue Committee Louisville office. She is here with her husband John, and the two of them have 3 grown kids. And so we are so fortunate. Welcome, Allison, to Temple Shalom.
Well, good Shabbos. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for having little stairs back here, because some of us who aren't quite 5 feet really appreciate the stairs behind the bima. So it is so lovely to be here with you tonight and to share a little bit about the IRC. So Avery is correct. I moved here about 8 months ago from Chicago because the IRC, the International Rescue Committee, was opening an office here in Louisville to continue their work in refugee resettlement and to serve the immigrant and asylum-seeking population here locally. IRC is one of 10 organizations like HIAS in the United States who have networks of offices across the country to serve refugees and immigrants. IRC was actually the second of those 10 organizations. HIAS was first. The IRC was the second of those organizations, founded by a group of people that were brought together by Albert Einstein, again, to serve refugees from the Jewish community who were fleeing their homes in Europe during World War II, during the early years of World War II. And that's kind of the legacy that we're living out here and now in Louisville. So, I want to start by saying that, in the aftermath of October 7th, there is no question that our world feels very different. We have mourned, we have questioned, we have been angry, we have been scared, and we have drawn upon these deep wells of resilience to affirm our Jewish joy and to continue the important work that we are doing on behalf of the world and in solidarity with the more than 110 million displaced peoples worldwide. So this year's Refugee Shabbat is a moment for congregations, for organizations, for individuals all around the world to rest and reflect, to celebrate the work that we've done, and to recommit ourselves to the creation of a more just, welcoming, and compassionate world. The work that we do here locally is for refugees who have come here. The IRC does do work globally in disaster response and humanitarian response, including in Israel and Gaza, in Ukraine, and Afghanistan, and so many places. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about that afterward, and we're gonna stick around for the Oneg, and I'm happy to talk to you about that. But tonight I want to spend some time talking about refugees here in the US and the work that we're doing and the ways that we can be part of that and how our Jewishness calls us to participate in that. Mark Hetfield is the president of HIAS, and this effort to have a refugee Shabbat is new. We're 6 years old doing refugee Shabbos. It started in 2018, and Mark said we felt like this was a time in the US where the US was doing less and less for the refugee community, and we felt that we needed to demonstrate as a refugee people, as Jews, that it is more important than ever to continue to welcome refugees into our communities. At the end of 2022, which is the most recent accurate data I can give us, there were close to 110 million people forcibly displaced worldwide. So about 35 million of those were refugees, another 5 million were asylum seekers, and 62.5 million were internally displaced. So let me break down really quick, without getting too deep into all of the legalities of it, what that actually means. So Rabbi was sharing that when HIAS started, there was no international definition for what made someone a refugee. We didn't have language for it. We didn't have laws around it, and that really came out of post-World War II Europe, where we said refugees are folks who are outside of their country and who can't go back because of persecution. Maybe that's their race, their religion, their nationality, their political opinion, or membership in a particular social group, which is an intentionally broad category to include things like journalists who might be persecuted in their country, but it also might be trans individuals who are being persecuted, other members of the LGBTQ community. So it's broad so that it can encompass a number of different categories of folks. So those are folks who are already outside of their country. Those internally displaced people are people who have had to flee within their own country. So if I'm here in Louisville and I'm experiencing persecution and I flee to Canada, I've left my country, I can be considered a refugee. If I leave here and I go to California or I go to New York, I haven't left my country. So I fall into this category of someone who is an internally displaced person. And over 75% of the refugees worldwide are being hosted in low-income and middle-income countries, which is largely due to geography. Because if I'm fleeing, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to Canada. It's the closest other country if I need to leave my country. So as we're seeing the largest number of refugees who are coming to the US now from the Democratic Republic of Congo, from Syria, from Afghanistan, from Ukraine, they're fleeing to the countries that are closest to where they are. And when they're there, we want to do one of three things. First, we hope that we can help people go home. We hope that we can help stabilize the situation so that it's safe for them to return home, so that home no longer is the mouth of a shark. I love that poem by Worcestershire. If they can't, can they stay where they are? Like if I've gone to Canada, can I safely stay in Canada? Can my children go to school there? Can I become a citizen? Can I get an education? Can we integrate into that community? And if we can't, then is there another third place that we could go to? So the refugees that we're seeing here are folks who have not only had to flee their country for persecution, but they haven't even been able to stay in the countries that they fled to. Those countries haven't wanted them either. I had a Sudanese gentleman I worked with many years ago who said the most important thing we can do working in a refugee office is to offer a smile when someone comes in, because they have been to country after country after country who has said, we don't want you here and you're not welcome. And that ability to welcome people has a profound impact on just the beginning of the relationship that you have with that person. So the US accepts refugees every year. We set a minimum or a maximum number of refugees the US will take. They're interviewed overseas, they're processed overseas, and then they come here. The government does all of that work, and then they work with organizations like HIAS, the International Rescue Committee, Kentucky Refugee Ministries, who is here in town, Catholic Charities, who also does refugee resettlement here in town, to make sure that they have a place to live, that their kids are able to enroll in school, that parents are able to learn English, that we're helping them get into a job and get stable in this new country that they're in. But there's a whole other group of immigrants who have a large presence in Louisville, and they're our Cuban and our Haitian neighbors who have come here first and then have said, we're being persecuted and we can't go back home. We're the first place they've come to, and now they're applying to say, hey, can we stay here as asylees? So they're still in the process that many of our refugee friends have already gone through. The New York Times talks about how Cubans began trickling into Jefferson County around 1995. The Clinton administration and the Castro government had signed this accord to allow 20,000 Cubans to come to the U.S. every year through a lottery. And as folks were coming to places like Louisville, it began to develop this nascent Cuban community that as more Cubans come, they're like, hey, I know this guy in Louisville. Hey, my sister's in Louisville. Hey, my other brother is in Louisville. And Louisville is now the #2 spot in the United States after Miami for new Cubans who are coming to the U.S. Louisville, if you think of Cuban locations, Louisville is not the first thing that comes to my mind, but congratulations, we have made it. We are definitely a hub of Cubans who are coming. So the work that we're engaged in is about making sure people have what they need to achieve that basic initial stability, and then to be on this path to further community integration. I don't know if HIAS intentionally scheduled Refugee Shabbos for the week that we have, that we're reading Parsha Yitro. But Rabbi David Fine reflects on this Parsha and says the most recognizable element of this Parsha throughout most of Jewish history is that the holiest moment in our sacred history, the establishment of the covenant of the Torah with God, takes place in the wilderness as the people are leaving Egypt, but they aren't inside of their destination. The Israelites of Parshat Yitro are a refugee people. The monument of the founding moment is a text. It's not a place. There's no Jewish tradition of where Mount Sinai is, and our holy space is Jerusalem. But in Parshat Yitro, God's presence temporarily rests atop a mountain, above a temporary encampment of a people in a temporary place. And Parshat Yitro situates this essence of Jewishness in a diaspora context where home and hearth are a moving context. Mount Sinai, this place where God and humanity met, was like this way stop among this refugee route out of Egyptian slavery, and the Israelites were a people of refugees. And God moved with us. God wasn't stuck in one place where if we couldn't be there, we couldn't be with God. God moved with us through the wilderness as a pillar of cloud by day, as a pillar of fire by night. God was with us in exile in Babylon. God is with us in the diaspora. And so there is this historical, cultural DNA as refugees that we have as Jews, Rabbi Fine writes, that God's sovereignty is all powerful because it can survive displacement and rejection. And so also is the strength and dignity of our refugees, and that this is the ethic we need to take with us as we look at this text today. But I also want to add that God called us to be a kingdom of priests while we were in the wilderness. He didn't wait until we arrived to the place that we were going. He said, you're still in the wilderness, you're still on this journey, you're still in this refugee space, but I have a call for you in the midst of that doesn't prevent you from living into all that you can be. And for Rabbi Avraham Isaac Kook, the phrase nation of priests refers to this aspiration to uplift the whole world. It is our job, Rabbi Kook said, to act in a way which will help all of the peoples of the world fulfill their purpose and to live out their highest selves, and to ensure that everyone cares for the widow and the orphan and shows compassion to the stranger, and to act justly and righteously as the Torah describes. And I love this idea of helping people be their highest selves, because the part of the story about fleeing and the fear and the danger and the difficulty is an important part of the story, and it's a moving part of the story. But there's another part of the story, and that's who people become when they are able to arrive and given the tools that they need achieve stability. When we look at the people who have made a difference, we look at people like Abraham Joshua Heschel, we look at people like Albert Einstein, we look at people like Madeleine Albright, we look at people like, if you are like music, Gloria Estefan, Will.i.am, MIA, all of these people are refugees. Manute Bull, who played for the Chicago Bulls, I'm from Chicago, I can't help it, refugee background. Among all of these children who are coming, and all of these people are coming, are the next Gloria Estefans, and are the next MIAs, and are the next Madeleine Albrights and Albert Einsteins. And we have this opportunity to engage with them now and be part of that story. And so it's not just a responsibility that we have, but it is a privilege of the stories that we get to be a part of. So I want to take some time to invite you to be part of showing that kind of compassion and that justice to strangers, to asylum seekers, to immigrants in our own backyard. While there are displaced peoples around the world, we don't have to go around the world to make a difference. Kentucky receives the 4th largest number of refugees in any state in the US last year. We were number 4, Kentucky. Right, and if you're thinking, what? I also, as new to Kentucky, thought, what? Number 4. And out of all of Kentucky, Louisville gets the biggest number of refugees. Cubans, number 2 after Miami for new Cuban arrivals. The entire world has come to our back door. And so there are ways to volunteer, there are ways to give, whether that is volunteering to pick people up at the airport when they arrive in the country for the first time, to let them see a welcoming face, making sure that they can get to the doctor's appointment because they aren't from a place where they've driven before and they don't know how to drive or have a car yet. Helping people learn how to take the bus, helping kids get enrolled in school, helping kids with homework, whatever it is that you're passionate about that you find interesting, there is a niche to help connect you. Maybe that's not something you feel like you can do right now. There are other tangible things. It is cold in Louisville right now, and if you are coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo and have never experienced the winter, it is even colder. And so coats and winter wear, gloves and hats and scarves are always an amazing thing to be able to offer resettlement agencies who can then make sure that every kid who gets picked up at the airport, every parent, every mom, dad, is met with a warm coat so that they don't have to be overwhelmed by this feeling of cold as soon as they get here. But the last thing I want to challenge you with is this. Is one of the first statistics I learned when I started working in refugee resettlement, and it was that fewer than 1 in 5 immigrants of any type in the United States will ever set foot inside the home of a native-born American. Fewer than 1 in 5. So there's this place for relationship, and there's this place for friendship. I happen to believe that transformation happens within the context of relationships, and maybe that's an idealistic view, but I do. I think of all of the pivotal moments in my life, I have been in relationship with someone, and that has been part of that experience, and I think that there is a transformative experience that happens for us, that happens for our immigrant and refugee friends when we're in relationship with each other. And that's not even something you have to volunteer with an organization like IRC to do, which maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot since, I should be saying, hey, you should volunteer with us. But maybe it's somebody down your street, maybe it's somebody at your school, maybe it's somebody you work with, maybe it's somebody that you see when you go to work out at the gym. But remembering that there is this otherness that so many of our immigrant and refugee friends experience even years after coming to the US, and finding those ways that we can connect and finding those ways that we can be in relationship is how we are able to show compassion to the stranger, and how we can care for the widows and how we can care for the orphans and really live into this vision that Rav Kook had of what it looks like to be a nation of priests. So thank you so much. I'm going to be here for Oneg after service, and I would love to talk to you more, any questions you have, or share information that I brought with me.
Thank you so much, and don't go away.
Oh,
just
don't go
yet,
away, okay.
So don't go away,
Okay.
because when you were talking about helping people become the best that they can be, right? And how many people are here in Kentucky, and as you probably know, that our congregation has been very involved in the past
Yes.
with Kentucky Reform Ministries and Habitat for Humanity and Interfaith Builds, and we've done so much. And so what we would like to offer you, I can't say you, but to International Rescue Committee, is a check for $1,000 to help your effort. And I want you to know, though, that several years ago, on the High Holy Days, this congregation responded to a sermon that I gave, which was specifically to help refugees. And also some of the money was for the homeless here in our city. And we still have some of those funds that are specifically help for refugees. So, because this is 100% in line with the reason why we raise the money, we have the ability to offer it to you.
Thank you
and
so
to your
much.
organization. So
Oh.
thank you for all that you
Yes,
are doing to
thank
make a
you
difference.
so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
very much, you do.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I just want folks to know that tomorrow we will be here for Shabbat services. Next Friday night, we have our Shabbat of Love, which was rescheduled. So again, we have congregants who are going to be reading, singing, dancing, some music. Aviv's going to bring someone from one of his other bands to sing a song. So please join us for Shabbat of Love next Friday night. There will be an oneg that follows. And another Shabbat to put in the books is March 8th, the Asayeh Ensemble. If you remember last year, when we had this African drumming circle came and participated in Shabbat services. And the Linda Klein is in that group, and the leader is from Ghana. Yeah, so he's from Ghana, and they play the amazing drums, and so that's March 8th. Again, another just really interesting type of Shabbat. And one other thing, I know that the email blast, which has a new format, it's shorter, and many think it's easier to read, so thank you, Lee, for that. But there have been announcements about various opportunities to see films that are being run right now by the part of the Jewish Film Festival. One was scheduled on the 11th of February, which many people probably already realize is the Super Bowl. So that is not going to happen. We are not competing with the Super Bowl. The other two movies you can, go to, but just know February 11th, we are not going to be here at Temple Shalom, okay? All right, so I want to just, once again, I want to thank Allison for being with us. I want to thank all the members of Tikkun Olam Committee, not only for being part of the service, but for providing the oneg. Travis, thanks for streaming. And of course, to our vocalists, thank you so much for being with us as well. We really appreciate all of you being here. And we're going to continue with, on page 293, with our pre-Kaddish reading. Page 293. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity, and I would add those of every race and nation who perished, died as they tried to find a safe home, a new homeland for themselves and for their family. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. If you are here to recite Kaddish for a loved one, you're invited to rise when their name is read aloud. This evening, we remember Seymour Bergman, Esther Bloom, Richard Brown, Catherine Brucker, Darren Duval, Edward Gersh, Kate Katz Glazer, Meyer Glazer, Jay Goldstein, Saul Green, Milton Greenbaum, Helen Hyman, Nathan Wasserman, David Auslander, Benjamin Wittenberg, Nathan Lipschutz, those who have been killed in Israel and in Gaza, and we mourn the loss of Ruth Greenberg, who is the mother of Mayor Craig Greenberg and the mother of Jennifer Tuvlin. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may they rest in peace as we rise together to recite the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yit Gadal V'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Devarach Yerutei V'Yamlich Malchutei B'chayei Uvyomei Uvchayei Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uvizman Kari V'Yimeru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Ulomei Olmaya Yit Barach V'Yish Tabach V'Yit Pa'ar V'Yit Romam V'Yit Nasei V'Yit Adar V'Yit Alev V'Yit Alal Shemei Dukudasha Berichu La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tush Bechata V'Nechemata Da'amiran Be'alma V'Yimeru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yimeru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Romav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yimeru Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together, Amen. Please be seated. Our concluding song this evening can be found also on a handout. This land is your land.
This land is
Your Raised to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond desert, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for
you and me. This land.
your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf water. This land was made for you and me. Sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the dust cloud rolling. As the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking, I saw a sign there, and something said, "Someone's passing, but on the other side, taking nothing. That side was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island."
From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. One more time. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me.
Woo! I invite everyone to join us right next door for Kiddush Motzi and a wonderful oneg and the opportunity to speak with Allison and with each other. Shabbat Shalom.
this is the verse I like the most, and that was on your.
Right. Well, thanks for being here.